Modern culture imagines hell as something crude, a place of random flames, screaming bodies, and cartoon demons with pitchforks. A chaotic abyss meant only to terrify children and intimidate believers, but this image is profoundly misleading. For medieval Christians, hell was not chaos. It was structure. It was meaning. It was moral geometry carved into fire and stone. Hell was imagined as a perfectly ordered space, where punishment was not arbitrary but precise, tailored to the soul, the sin, and the intention behind it. A place where justice, theology, psychology, and art converged. And no one shaped this vision more powerfully than Dante Alighieri, but Dante did not invent hell. He inherited centuries of fear, sermons, visions, frescoes, and theological debates, and transformed them into a terrifying architecture of meaning. To understand how medieval Christians truly imagined hell, we must descend layer by layer through art, theology, psychology, and poetry into a world where fear was not merely emotion, but education. In the Middle Ages, hell was not just about the afterlife. It was about how to live. Most people would never read theology. Many could not read at all. But everyone understood images. Church walls were covered in vast frescoes of the Last Judgment. Cathedral portals showed demons dragging souls into furnaces. Illuminated manuscripts depicted sinners boiled, frozen, flayed, or crushed. These were not decorative horrors. They were moral maps. Medieval preachers believed that fear could save souls, but fear had to be intelligent. Hell, therefore, became a visual language, teaching that every action has weight, every desire a consequence, every moral failure a shape. This is why medieval hell was never vague. Each sin demanded its own punishment. Each punishment revealed the inner logic of the sin itself. Contrary to modern assumptions, medieval theologians did not imagine hell as divine cruelty. They imagined it as perfect justice. Saint Augustine argued that hell was the inevitable result of a soul that had chosen separation from God. God did not send souls to hell. Souls fell into it by their own orientation. Gregory the Great emphasized that punishment corresponded to desire. Those who loved earthly pleasures more than divine truth were bound eternally to the consequences of that love. Thomas Aquinas went further. In his Summa Theologia, Aquinas insisted that hell was ordered, rational and eternal, because divine justice itself was ordered, rational and eternal. Hell was not random torment. It was moral clarity without mercy. Long before Dante, medieval Christians were already traveling to hell, at least in imagination. Texts like the Vision of St. Paul or the Vision of Tanagali described guided tours through the underworld, led by angels. These visions introduced key ideas. Hell was layered. Punishments were symbolic demons acted as executors, not rebels. Time behaved strangely. Eternity felt like endless present suffering in one vision. Greedy souls were crushed beneath molten gold. In another, liars were forced to swallow burning metal. Lustful souls were bound together, burning in each other's embrace. These stories circulated widely, read aloud in monasteries, paraphrased in sermons, painted onto walls. They primed medieval imagination for Dante's masterpiece. When Dante published the Divine Comedy in the early 14th century, he did something unprecedented. He gave hell a map. Dante's Inferno is a vast funnel descending beneath Jerusalem, divided into 9 circles, each punishing a category of sin. But the true genius of Dante lies in Contrapasso, the idea that punishment mirrors sin. The lustful, who allowed passion to rule reason, are swept endlessly by violent winds. The gluttonous, who lived like animals, wallow in filthy rain. The violent boil in rivers of blood. The traitors, who froze human bonds, are trapped in ice. This is not sadism, it is psychological symbolism. Hell reveals the truth of sin, stripped of illusion. Medieval hell was not only physical, it was profoundly mental. Many theologians believed that the greatest torment was not fire, but memory. The damned remembered what they had lost. They understood truth too late. They saw God clearly and knew they could never reach him. This is why Dante's hell is filled with conversation. The damned speak. They explain themselves. They justify. They blame. But they never repent. Hell, in medieval psychology, was the final fixation of the soul, a mind incapable of change. Eternal suffering was not endless screaming, it was endless self-knowledge without escape. Step inside a medieval church and hell is everywhere. On tympanums above cathedral doors, Christ sits in judgment. On one side, the blessed rise in harmony. On the other, hell erupts. Demons bite, claw, mock. Mouths of hell gape like monstrous beasts. Sinners are pulled apart, stacked, cooked, devoured. Artists exaggerated bodies intentionally. Distorted faces, swollen bellies, twisted limbs, sin deformed the soul, and hell revealed that deformation visibly. These images were not meant to horrify alone. They were meant to instruct through fear. Medieval demons were not chaotic rebels. They were functionaries. In Dante, demons guard gates, patrol circles, enforce rules. They argue about procedure. They mock sinners not with rage, but with irony. Hell had administration. This reflected medieval views of law and order. Even evil followed hierarchy. The greatest demon was not the loudest. It was Lucifer, frozen at the bottom of hell, immobile, mindless, eternally chewing traitors. Ultimate evil was not fire, it was absence. Fire dominates popular imagination, but medieval hell was more complex. There was fire, yes, but also darkness, cold, silence, weight, stench. In Dante's deepest hell, there is no fire at all. There is ice. Why? Because betrayal extinguishes love. Fire represented passion misused. Ice represented love destroyed. Hell was not one sensation. It was the exact opposite of divine harmony. Modern audiences often recoil at medieval hell. They see manipulation, cruelty, psychological violence. But medieval Christians saw something else. They believed fear could awaken the soul. Hell was not the center of faith. God was. But hell was the shadow that revealed the light. To imagine hell was to understand what it meant to lose meaning itself. We no longer paint hell on our walls. We no longer preach fire from pulpits. But the medieval imagination of hell still lingers. In our fascination with dystopias, in our obsession with moral consequence, in our fear of becoming trapped inside our worst selves, medieval hell was not about monsters. It was about human choices made eternal, and perhaps that is why it still terrifies us, because deep down we recognize it. If this journey through medieval hell unsettled you, then it has done what it was meant to do. The Middle Ages did not imagine hell to entertain, but to force the soul to confront its own choices. If you enjoy historical stories that explore fear, meaning, and the hidden logic of the past, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment and tell us which vision of hell disturbed you the most: fire, ice, or memory. And if this story made you see the Middle Ages differently, share this video with someone who still believes medieval people feared without thinking. History is darker and deeper than we imagine.